All week I've been fascinated with this story. Billionaire trapped in the bottom of the sea in search of the Titanic. It'll take 6 hours to get there and only 8 hours of oxygen. Suspense. Will they live? Will they die? Duped by the media again. Monday, the Titan is missing. Tuesday, there's a banging sound. Wednesday, they're running out of air. Thursday, oh no, we found the wreckage. But the entire time, they knew it was BS. US Navy knew the sub already blew up on Sunday. But they distracted us, again, to hide the news cycle. What happened this week? Let's do a quick recap on what you missed. JP Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein emails were released. And now they have just mistakenly deleted 47 million emails. Joe Biden is undergoing an impeachment vote in the House, or at least trying. The Pentagon fat-fingered $6 billion to Ukraine. Hunter Biden gets a slap on the wrist while FBI whistleblowers are going missing. And John Durham had his congressional hearing this week regarding the Russia hoax. But I was so busy wondering about the billionaire who decided to go boating in a submersible soda can, missed it all.
That kind of summarizes what we're going to be talking about tonight. Huh? No, I do have to give credit to, I have to look and see who I have to give credit to for that video. It was on Twitter. Oh, it's Tony. Let me just add this to the stream. If you do Tony XTWO, Tony times 2, he posted this video on Twitter. So I wanted to give credit where credit is due. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi, ladies.
Hey. So, Carrie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've been pretty swamped, but doing great too. How about you, Moxie?
I'm good. I had a very busy day, but I learned new things and I get to do my own stuff tonight.
That is
so bear with me if it's a little rusty.
No, it'll be fun. Yeah, so our show is, about why is the mainstream media not covering certain things. It's a question worth pondering, and we're going to go over what they have been covering and talk about some of the things they haven't, and we should probably find out why. But a lot of the stuff they did cover, I still have a lot of questions. There was a lot of news over the last week.
So much. The news cycle has been so heavy.
It has been. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the Titan submarine, Durham, the report and his hearing. We're going to talk about Hunter Biden and his sweetheart deal and all this. There's a lot going on with Hunter Biden, actually. And I'm going to sneak in some Russian stuff because I just have to.
Yeah, that was wild.
No,
I have some too.
Very, very wild. Do you want to kick us off, Moxie?
I definitely will. After that video that we opened with, a lot of this might be a little bit of recap of his video, but that's okay. I'll break it down a little bit better. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, and it worked. Okay. So I just want to go over what happened. There was this submersible, which is a little bit different than a submarine. This one is only 22 feet long, and a submersible is a type of underwater vessel that's not fully sufficient or self-sufficient, and it relies on a support ship to launch it and recover it. So it can't get out to where it's going on its own, and it can't come back on its own. A submarine, which is larger, it's more independent, and it can cruise with its own power supply and air renewal system. The submersible is usually smaller than a submarine, doesn't have enough power to get to a port. And so the timeline with this was really kind of weird. And hopefully you guys can see this okay.
Yeah, it's nice and big.
On Sunday, the 18th of July or of June, I'm sorry, the 5-person crew was submerged, and the crew of the Polar Prince lost contact with them about an hour and 45 minutes into the dive. They were expected back in 6 to 8 hours and had 96 hours of oxygen. We didn't find out about this until Monday. They told us it was missing. And the Coast Guard brought in tech experts with sonar buoys, 2 C-130s. Those are big cargo planes that they use in the military. And those were brought in to do an aerial search to see if they could find anything. And then nothing. On Tuesday, underwater search started by an underwater pipeline vessel. They didn't even bring in like a proper search and rescue or anything like that. Like they sent in pipe layers. And then on Wednesday, noises were heard underwater in the search zone that was the size of Connecticut. They didn't know where it was, but mind you, this is a 22-foot little vessel. And they had less than 24 hours of oxygen left. So they are really playing this, hey, we got to find this because, they're running out of time. And on Thursday, the submersible is running out of air. That's what they told us.
I was muted. Can I interrupt you 1 sec?
Sure.
So the oxygen, they had countdowns.
They did.
So sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say they had the news was covering this 24/7. They had countdowns on the news for it, just like with the COVID where they had the numbers up and wanting to keep people tuned in. Anyway, go ahead, continue.
So the submersible was running out of air, and then the U.S. Coast Guard told us on Thursday that the Titanic-bound submersible suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 people on board. And then, okay, so we wait all this week till Thursday, and all of a sudden they decide they're dead. And then on Friday, a remotely operated vehicle found parts of the sub about 1,600 feet from the bow of the shipwreck. And then it was let out that the Navy knew about the explosion on Sunday already that had happened, or the implosion, rather. It was an implosion. And this is just kind of a little graphic that I found, and it shows where the wreckage was. The Titanic wreckage is over here, directly south from St. John's, and here's Boston over here. And they were only 1,600 feet from the Titanic, which to me is really sad. They got so close, or at least that's where the wreckage ended up. So that was just kind of really sad to me. But while we were all paying attention to that, there were other things going on.
Well, let me just ask a question to comment on one of the things you covered. I want to know, and it's really interesting that they knew about the implosion for a while. And so why did they wait to say? Because they saw the news. They saw the news with their number of hours left of oxygen, coverage 24/7. They had already known it imploded. So what did they, why did they hold off on announcing it?
Now that is a good question worth pondering.
It absolutely is. And with
we think we know the answer, right? Because the timing was very interesting. But before we continue on and we move on to Carrie, unless you've got more, I don't know, Moxie. But I want to acknowledge all the people in chat because we have some we have some folks in chat, and we also have a question or a comment. I mean, so we've got Becca, who is on as is it Anna B? Becca? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right for your name on Rumble. And then we've got Small Boat, Big Waves, small with a SMOL. I think about Carrie every time I see that word, by the way. Herbie made it, but I know last week he said he'd have to cut out early. He's working. We've got Magnolia, and let's see. And there was a comment, an aerial search, you say, for an underwater vessel.
Is that
he made it home in time, so Herbie gets to stay and watch us.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And then Small Boat, Big Wave says distraction. They also didn't want Anand's digging. They needed time to destroy the evidence. And Becca says they needed time to exfil those millionaires to an undisclosed location. I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, your little boat. Small boat is little boat. Well, thank you for joining us. All right. Did you have any more, Moxie, that you wanted to cover?
I was just about to kick it over to Carrie.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption, but
No
I want to say hi to all of our friends.
Yeah, no, it's great. So happy to have you all here with us.
I was too busy talking to notice, so.
So yeah, it was obviously the media knew, like everyone knew that it was a top secret U.S. Navy acoustic detection system that spots enemy submarines that heard the implosion. I think it was about an hour and a half in. So, okay.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was really fast.
Yeah.
So, and like Becca was saying, this is all very suspicious. And anyway, but let's just talk about, right, what we know. But it does seem like, the CEO is married to the great granddaughter of the Strausses who perished on the Titanic, and billionaire and the people on board. It's just anyway. But okay, so we know why they held the story, all the big news. But why don't we let's meet the CEO?
Okay.
The Media 1A.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did. It's picking the rules that you break that are the ones that will add value to others and add value to society.
So he admits right there that he broke the rules with the materials. And I did a little research. It's called galvanic corrosion. When two different materials are in contact in the presence of an electrolyte, one material, the anode, can start to corrode faster than it would on its own, while the other material, the cathode, will corrode slower. It's known as the galvanic corrosion. And carbon fiber composites can act as a cathode, and metals such as titanium can act as an anode. So placing them in contact is a corrosive environment, like salt water can lead to rapid corrosion of the titanium.
That's interesting. I read something similar.
Yeah.
About mixing materials like that is a no-no.
And he says he even said it's a no-no, and they did it anyway.
Yeah, he said it right there in the video. Right.
So that's really very strange. And this is also really odd. The Titanic is, we all know, at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, about 900 miles east of Cape Cod, and it's right around 13,000 feet down, right? Yep. And so the Titan wreckage found near the Titanic had, excuse me, I don't know exactly where. I mean, it was debris supposedly, but the Titan max depth was 4,000 meters or 13,000 feet.
Mm.
Okay, so why would you max out your sub?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you make it able to go a little bit further, or like you're right there? I mean, they
Mhm.
didn't get down that far, but that was a very strange thing, first of all.
Yeah, well, I don't know that it was made to go there. I think they decided to go there. You know, like
But I mean, knowing that
knowing knowing
it,
the limits of that, it's kind of crazy that they
it makes
scheduled that
zero sense. And wasn't the cost $250,000 per
per
person?
person. Mhm.
Okay, so and then we have
So
another,
billionaires only, please.
right? I guess none of them really thought about any of these details. And then, of course, the people, the engineers, the people behind the creation of it. There's another video that will explain it better. It's again the CEO. It's Media 1B. Why don't
Okay.
we just take a look at how he selected the crew?
Let's do it. Sounds good.
One of the things that was abundantly clear was, the professionalism of the team. You guys were a well-oiled machine. The tenure of a lot of these folks, was obviously not significant. A lot of young folks coming out of school, but everybody knew their role and they executed it flawlessly. Tell me a little bit about how you guys do that.
When I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. But a 25-year-old, who's a sub-pilot or a platform operator, one of our techs, can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry, is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than ocean related. And we also want our team to have a variety of different background. You're going to go to the Titanic, you're going to be spending 8 days on a boat. You don't want every person to have the same experience of having been on a U.S. nuclear sub or worked for Atlanta submarines, and they all have the same background. We've got one guy who threw the hammer as a varsity athlete. We have one gentleman who's done everything. He goes and surfs in Iceland in the winter. But really get people who have a diverse background, and then train them and train so that it does come off as a polished and safe operation.
I didn't hear it, so
You didn't hear it?
no.
Oh, Moxie, did you?
I did.
Okay. So basically he was saying that he didn't want any 50-year-old white guys, ex-military experts with submarines, that instead he hired 20-something-year-olds with no experience that he would train. And some of them were athletes, surfers. They didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
And that's his criteria is crazy. So, okay, you can make your assessments, but honestly, I don't even know how we can offer the trips to, with an uncertified experimental submarine controlled, by the way, by a wireless game controller.
Yeah, the whole situation is nuts.
It's so outrageous. That's why it really does beg the question. I mean, is this real? Did we just watch something? Was that a head fake? But anyway, there's another interesting thing I found quick, that the Titanic, it does sit in international waters, and it has been largely unregulated. And it looks like they're using the Titan implosion to limit further access to the Titanic. Why? Why? What are they hiding? Right? I mean, there's a lot more interest now because people are learning a lot of things about our history that weren't quite true. I mean, the conspiracy theory of the Titanic and, the story behind it relating to the Federal Reserve. and the men that were on it, the wealthiest men in the world, who were the most vocal detractors of that banking system, that they perished on it. But anyway, we're not going into Titanic right now. But anyway, the UK and the US have put themselves in charge of granting permits for exploration. The UK had already had it, but the US got on board. They're trying to get other nations to sign the agreement. It was actually done, I think, way back in 2004, but it was only ratified by the US last year, or well, in the last couple of years, I believe. So they're really pushing to keep the Titanic off limits.
Well, I guess I'm curious. I didn't know that.
I mean, lawyers are already coming out saying they're demanding no further exploration, you know. So
yeah, but I'm curious if they had to get a permit, how did they get a permit for that kind of vehicle?
Well, did they get a permit to go to this Titanic, or what do you mean?
Well, exploratory permit means you can literally. I don't know what that means. So
I think they're trying to make it so that you have to get a permit. I think it's been largely unregulated.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so
now they're gonna push for being more strict on that. Yeah.
Yes, to keep people away. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the biggest marine disasters, you know. So many people lost their lives. I mean, they made a movie out of it, but, you know, certainly keeping people away from it will maintain the Federal Reserve narrative. And I mean, it is, anyway, that's
it might be. And we're definitely going to do a show on Titanic. So if anybody's watching who doesn't know what Carrie's referring to, we'll have a follow-up show because there's a lot of connections. It's very interesting. Yeah. It's interesting who was supposed to be on board and wasn't.
Right.
That.
So. Oh, and by the way, David de Rothschild is on the board of Ocean Gate, which is the company.
He is. Okay. So the CEO's wife is a Strauss who, you know, the Strausses were on the Titanic and went down with it.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just have a couple of things, unless you had more, Carrie.
No, just the funny, it's not funny, but we noticed today in the news, there's already a documentary about this.
So, yeah, I actually posted about that today, and Moxie sent it to me the other day. And there is the company that created this documentary. They're actually known for doing like documentaries on current events and doing them very fast.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any shenanigans around there. That's just what they do. They do breaking news documentaries.
Okay.
So yeah, I did see that. And also Defender of the Republic put out a video today, I think, where she's questioning whether it actually imploded. Like, so whenever you're dealing with billionaires, your mind has to go to, okay, what's really up here? So number one, I'm not of this theory, but I think it's an interesting one. I do think it literally did implode, considering how it was made and all of that. But Defender of the Republic, she's got that interesting take. She said, if you were a billionaire and you wanted to disappear, how would you do that? So that there's no way to trace it. And I think it's a good question. I don't know that anybody's done a deep dive dig into the CEO and what's going on in his life and businesses and stuff like that. I think it would be interesting to do research on that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I just find it, I think we've spent enough time on this topic, so I'm not going to go on because honestly, this is one of the distractions.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get to more important things, but the Titan is something the MSM was pushing, talking about. And the timing is just so interesting because of what happened, what came out when they did announce it, which there were many things happening that were super important that the news wasn't really talking a lot about, or if they were talking about it, they weren't sharing all the details around some of this stuff. The Hunter Biden indictment coming out and the plea deal, and John Durham attending the hearing on Wednesday, and a lot of other important news. So I think it would be good for us to move on from Titan. I have a ton. I was almost swore just now. I have a ton of other stuff I could have shared on Titan. I think we could have had a 4-hour show, but we're not going to do that. All right. So let's start talking about, should we talk about Hunter maybe first? I think that's some of the most important stuff that's been coming out there. Moxie, what do you got on that?
So I'm super prepared today because I did all of my own stuff, and I'm super proud of myself. Can you tell?
I am so proud of you, Moxie. You know, do you know how much time you saved me?
Probably not as much work as I put into it, but a lot. I've been at my computer all day, and Willow's not happy about it, but it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so the Hunter Biden charges that came down were 2 misdemeanor tax offenses, a felony firearm offense, and a felony firearm offense. His tax offenses, he received a taxable income in excess of 1.5 million in both 2017 and 2018. And despite owing in excess of 100K of federal income taxes, he did not pay either year. And as far as his firearm offense, from on or about October 12th, 2018 to October 23rd, 2018, Hunter Biden possessed a firearm despite knowing he was an unlawful user of and addicted to a controlled substance. If he were to be convicted of each of these crimes, he would face up to 34 years in prison, which is 12 years for each tax offense and 10 for the firearm offense. And I hope my math is okay. But that's the math that I did in my head. That would be his maximum sentence. But what he's not being charged with is money laundering, bribery, trafficking, and being an unregistered foreign agent.
Yeah, I have a question on that because I didn't even save it to talk about in the podcast, but I don't know who put it out there. Somebody put out there about the deal being where he'll be expunged of everything else potentially with this deal, so that even later he can't be charged by another U.S. attorney on some of this more serious stuff. Did you guys read about that? I don't have the deets on it, so I could be completely wrong, but
I do remember seeing that somewhere. I just didn't come across it when I was prepping everything today.
So you saw it too?
I did.
So I'm not losing my mind.
You are not.
It was a thing.
Well, they're not charging him for all those other things.
But I think part of the deal, and I'm not 100% because I haven't seen the plea deal, read it, and I don't even know if the judge has accepted it yet.
Right.
But yeah, part of the wording is that all the other stuff will go away pretty much.
I think you might be talking about the pretrial diversion agreement, which
is that what it is?
Yeah, I was going to get to that, but I will in a moment. But Moxie, I don't think Moxie was.
That's everything that I had. I just wanted to set it up for you guys to hit it out of the park.
Maybe that would be a good segue into that, Carrie.
You have, yeah, sure. But I mean, Moxie, do you have a video?
Nope, that's all I had for right now.
Oh.
So I'm going to go ahead and take this down.
You were going to have the video.
Well, we may as well talk
Oh,
about that. Well, let's go to the video after. We may as well talk about what you got, Carrie. On
Okay.
that, so we can get clarification.
Yeah, because Kash Patel, he always has great insight on these things. He's a prosecutor, and so Hunter entered into a pre-trial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information.
Okay. Pre-trial diversion?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay.
And so handling the gun charge as a diversion case means that Hunter would not technically be pleading guilty to that crime. Stay with me.
I'm with you.
So he said that Hunter Biden will never be charged for any gun crime. It literally means he will be diverted out.
Gun crime.
Okay, so because the DOJ guidelines for pretrial diversions do not apply to offenses involving firearms and brandishing. So how did he get it? They don't apply to that, but Hunter got it, right? But there's some small writing. There's an exception, and the small writing reads that the Deputy Attorney General can waive the restriction and grant a pretrial diversion. So who's the Deputy Attorney General right now? Lisa Monaco, who helped launch Russiagate narrative.
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
And so Cash has a lot of experience, obviously, with these types of, convictions. And he has never seen a pretrial diversion happen in a gun case, ever. And all of his clients would get the minimum of 3 to 5 years. So this is never before happened. And
that's nuts.
It is. And the guilty plea by Hunter is for 2 misdemeanors for tax fraud and tax evasion. You mentioned that, Moxie. But and then his attorneys are claiming this quote, this resolves all legal matters outstanding. They're just saying it covers everything. So I don't know how they can do that.
What does that mean? How can that be possible?
Like maybe as part of the plea deal that like
outstanding. Outstanding is a key word there, though. Is that the word that's literally used?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
All legal matters outstanding.
Legal matters outstanding. So that would be in progress investigations. Yeah, and it can only be in their jurisdiction. So if there's other investigations happening, I know that Cash just today posted out about and it's not related to Hunter, so never mind. But I'm still gonna mention it because Cash said, "Are there any state AGs?" Oh no, it is related to Biden's. Are there any state AGs or DAs that are willing to prosecute Hunter Biden family for the crimes they have committed in their red state? They do it to Donald Trump. So why are you also afraid to act? You got 24 hours to get moving, and then I'm naming names right here on Truth Social. Man up.
Right, because the DOJ is not going to do anything. And the government has already made it clear that the sentencing guidelines will be probation only for Hunter. So all the money laundering, transfers from China and Russia, the FARA violations, bribery deal, the Burisma exec that paid $5 million to Hunter. I mean, all of it and more, all of that and more.
Is that all within the same jurisdiction though? Because they can't do that like across everything, can they? Is that even allowed? Can an attorney do that? And can a judge reject that? Because the judge in the case,
the federal judges, I believe they can.
I think they can reject.
I don't know if the judge has accepted that, to be honest. That plea deal, but that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, if anybody knows in chat, let us know if you know whether or not the judge has accepted the plea deals yet. Gosh, we got to ask Kyle from Just Human. He's following all this stuff so closely. I think he would have posted about it, though.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I mean, it's clearly everything that we know so far. Obviously, there are missing pieces, but
Mhm.
it's a huge loss for our system of justice and rule of law. I mean, it's absolutely selective application of the law.
Mhm.
And you know, we've known that people that have been paying attention for years. You know, and a lot of Americans know it, and it's just on full display at a very high level now. So
Yeah.
that's like the good news, I guess, that we can gain from this, right?
Yes. I just want to quick show this. I just pulled up Truth Social. I didn't have it queued up, but
Oh, the truth
The-
that the cash
the
put out.
cash
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I totally
love
love to know whether or not a judge has even approved those plea deals. That's really interesting. And does a judge have to approve what did you call it? A diversion?
Yeah, it's a pretrial diversion agreement.
Hey, Carrie, we've got Carrie Ward
Hi, Carrie.
on YouTube. Hey. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Sorry, we kind of went off on a tangent on that one.
We did.
It was a good tangent, though.
Yeah.
Do you mind pulling up Carrie's 2A?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and will you set up the video? And when I say set up, I mean set the context.
So I was going to use this video, but then I found out that Carrie was also using it.
I mean the context of what it's about.
So it is actually about the whistleblower that happened to show up on Thursday when we found out that all these people died. In the Titan.
Oh, that's what yeah.
So this is just a little bit about the whistleblower that showed up and talked about Hunter Biden stuff.
Yeah, could that Titan have been a distraction for this as well? Let's play.
Protecting Joe. Now, if you still need proof of it, here it is. We're learning this. According to the IRS whistleblowers, the U.S. Attorney's Office investigating Hunter had charges ready to go last year. But when they tried to charge him, Biden's Justice Department said no, off limits. They blocked it. IRS whistleblowers revealed this to House Republicans today. Listen.
Testimony shows that U.S. Attorney of Delaware David Weiss tried to bring charges in the District of Columbia around March of 2022 and was denied. Weiss sought special counsel status from the DOJ in the spring of 2022 and was once again denied. Weiss sought to bring charges in the Central District of California in the fall of 2022 and had that request denied in January of 2023. Yet U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland told Congress that Weiss had all the authority necessary to pursue the charges.
So the Attorney General lied to Congress, and his Justice Department stonewalled charges on Hunter twice, blocked it. And when Delaware tried to override the decision by applying for special counsel status, the Attorney General said no. And when the charges actually came, the Department of Justice undercharged Hunter.
These tax crimes cover an estimated $2.2 million in unreported tax on global income streams to Mr. Biden and his associates from Ukraine, Romania, and China, totaling $17.3 million from 2014 to 2019.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, I was reading about the charges or the authority, and I posted today about Weiss being a Trump-appointed attorney, and he had said that he wasn't allowed to bring certain charges. Merrick Garland testified to Congress that he had ultimate authority. He had more authority, and this is posted by Just Human, that he had more authority than a special counsel would. And then Weiss, though, sent a letter after Merrick Garland was being accused of lying, and sent a letter sort of contradicting himself, but it was like witnesses in the room were saying, hey, Weiss said I can't bring these charges. It's not my decision. So that's a confusing one right there.
Yeah.
There's a big story around that. And a lot of this stuff is hard to follow unless you have time.
There was a lot. I mean, the prosecutors were not allowed to investigate before the election.
Right.
A whole slew of things. The DOJ squashed search warrants and tipped off Hunter Biden's attorneys of searches. Right?
Yep.
The DOJ shut down attempts by the investigators to interview Hunter, and no questions were allowed about the big guy. They delayed authentication of the WhatsApp message that of the Hunter demanding payment from Chinese officials while Joe Biden's in the room.
Yeah, let me pull that up actually while you're talking about it, because
and the investigators couldn't get access to Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, the DOJ rejected requests to name special counsel. I mean, it just.
So that WhatsApp message, just a heads up to people, this was quoted. So the image I'm going to show is not the actual screen. I think they, I thought I shared. I didn't share. So let me make this a little bigger because I do want to read it out. There we go. Okay. I'm sitting here. This is a Hunter Biden to who is the person in China? One of his business partners?
It was a business partner.
But connected to the CCP. I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. It's so funny. Trump was talking about this in his speech the other day, and I didn't clip it, but he's like, wow, I didn't know Hunter was so tough. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me, his father, and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father. I mean, okay, so people are saying, no, Biden didn't know anything about Hunter's business dealings. But if this doesn't scream extortion, I don't know what does.
And Joe Biden showed up at a lunch that Hunter was in with these people at the Four Seasons, just walking by, oh, hey.
Yeah, right. And on the beach, they have a picture.
Right.
And the thing of it is remember that, they were accusing Trump of quid pro quo right. with Zelensky in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why that was a tongue twister for me. Quid pro quo. Whenever I hear quid pro quo, it makes me think of that Jodie Foster movie.
The what?
The Jodie Foster movie.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. So
yes. But yeah, I mean, it was the Bidens that were doing those kinds of things.
Projection.
I've got the $1 billion. If you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting your $1 billion. I mean, what? And he's bragging about that, and it's on camera. And people, the media is like, oh, yeah, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
He didn't really mean that.
Yeah.
It was a corrupt prosecutor. No, it was a prosecutor trying to root out corruption.
Yeah.
So
his son was involved in that links to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Carrie.
No, you didn't.
Did you have more?
I don't.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just not with it tonight.
You're great.
No, yeah. So the text was really interesting. I did have a clip on it, but I don't know that we need to cover that. But also recent news that came out, and it's funny because there are just trolls on Twitter, I have to tell you. But the breaking news that came out on Sunday on Maria's Sunday show is about Hunter's business paid for a private phone for Joe Biden.
Right.
And I am going to play that clip because this news was pretty incredible.
Very good point. Look, you both have broken so much news on this story. Peter, you broke a lot of this years ago about the Biden family influence peddling, and you've got new information this morning, breaking news on a cell phone that Joe Biden was using. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. What is the line of communications between Hunter Biden and his business partners and Joe Biden when he's vice president of the United States? It's not the government phone. It's not Joe Biden's personal phone. We know from the laptop that Hunter Biden's business paid for a private phone line that Joe Biden used while he was vice president. It was from AT&T. It was $300 a month. It was a global phone where you could access somebody anywhere around the world. We shared that phone number and that account information with people at the House Oversight Committee. My hope is that they haven't already, they will subpoena those records because I think it will give an indication on how tight the communication was. And that may be the phone, for example, that the Ukrainian, the Burisma executive might have used in this allegation that he talked to Joe Biden in recorded conversations. I would just say one other thing, Maria, as it relates to that sort of shakedown phone call with Henry Zhao that we alluded to. Henry Zhao in 2015 had already sent $5 million to the Bidens. He was the head of a harvest investment firm. And what's interesting is in the correspondence there, Hunter Biden again talks to Zhao in the context of this is a deal that's important to my family involving his father. Let's also keep in mind we fixate on the criminal element of this. We also have to focus on the espionage element of this. Henry Zhao paid $5 million to Hunter Biden from an account that was part of a company that he co-owned with the family of the Minister of State Security of China, who's in charge of the entire spy apparatus. And you see that in every deal that Hunter Biden did in China. These individuals that are sending him money have ties to Chinese intelligence.
Unbelievable. We have to take a quick break.
So he had already sent him $5 million, and this is the other $5 million that everyone was talking about last week that went to Joe too.
And didn't they just say yesterday that they have other nations and wires that they're going to be coming out with? So this
Ukraine is included in that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the beginning. I mean, there's so much. It's almost mind numbing.
It is.
But you know what?
Can I just stop for a quick break? Carrie Ward on YouTube said there's a website where you can see everything put together so far up of that. So Carrie Ward, put that link in chat, and then let's see who's talking on Rumble. Anything on Rumble, Moxie, that you saw that we should call out? I love that you guys are so chatty.
I know everybody is super chatty today.
I love it.
Because could they be setting a precedence that will benefit upcoming Trump's cases?
Absolutely. And that was going to be one of my points was the fact that that a lot of the stuff that has been done is setting a precedent. And I know I talk about Kyle all the time, just human, but man, he's brilliant and he's into all this stuff. So, Kyle, okay, Carrie, well, you could try. And if it doesn't work, Carrie said she didn't know if they'd catch it and remove it. If it didn't work, if you want to find us on our Rumble at QWP, Rumble lets you put links in chat. So, but yeah, he's got last August, I think it was in August, he put out a Substack called Templates. And it talks about all the precedents that have been set. So all of the investigations into Trump, the indictments into Trump will allow us, it opens the door because it was unprecedented to go and search, a president's home, to indict a president or even, investigate on some of these things. It sets a precedent so we can do that with other people, other past presidents or past vice presidents, past secretaries of state. The precedent is huge.
Haven't there been so many? I can't even remember them all. There have been so many precedents. Is that
there's so many. Honestly, I just recommend people follow Just Human because he tracks all that.
Yeah. Incredible.
There's so many. I definitely think that that is an amazing follow. So, and let me see if I have so many videos, but I don't know if I want to play them all. Let's see. I've got the Hunter text. Actually, no, I don't think so.
I was going to
yeah,
share.
I do have a video I want to play later as part of the closing. But I did want to show one. There's my screen. Yeah. So one other thing to call out is the whole hiding the Hunter laptop and trying to cover it up and trying to make it go away from the DOJ. Really should be considered election rigging because they knew about it back, before the election of 2020. They squashed a bunch of subpoenas. They refused indictments. They refused to investigate certain things. FBI and DOJ personnel, so not the upper echelon of folks. The teams that were on these investigations were frustrated because they kept getting cut down.
The IRS agents, Shapley, I think, is who led that.
Yeah. So
they were stonewalled at every turn by the DOJ.
Absolutely. But I kind of wanted to call that out. There's so many tentacles and so much corruption, but there's an agenda. And it always boils down to how they are so afraid of Donald Trump. They did not want him to become president. So all of the cover-ups of corruption were happening, and influencing the election was happening, and going after Donald Trump is happening. So what are they so afraid of? We know the answer.
Yeah.
Trump's an outsider. He's not one of the gang. He's not establishment. He will go after them.
Yeah.
He really means it when he says drain the swamp, right?
And he has the ammunition now. And the people, like he had it then, but we, the people, have seen it. Right? So he's going to be able to lay waste in his second term to the whole system, the whole system.
For sure. There's also, do you guys have anything else on Hunter? I think it's worth following and paying attention to and staying on top of. A lot of the details in it and the corruption is not being covered by MSM. So we have to find it, and the way you find it is by reading court filings and people that are involved in the whistleblowers, watch the hearings on the weaponization of government and the other, judicial Overwatch, all the Overwatch hearings. Watch all of those because the news is not sharing all the details. But
some, I mean, Fox,
not all.
You can't take it for granted. I mean, because we've all been waiting, right?
That's true. I mean, like Maria, she
and
is.
Jesse just drops bombs all the time, right?
He does, but most of the news is not covering these details.
But we also, so I just had to pull back a little bit and think, okay, we can't just, pass by the fact that it is all coming out. Like,
well, that is true.
It's
and
on
it's
Twitter,
getting spread. It's getting spread on social media. And like Twitter's not censoring anymore, calling things misinformation.
Just think about
people aren't being fact checked anymore because guess what? On Twitter, they've got the community notes. And actually, Joe Biden was fact checked by the community.
He was?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That?
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, just the fact that it's on Fox, even just think about it. And the people that are coming out just talking, I think it was Newt Gingrich. Somebody was talking about George Soros and all these, deep state characters. And nobody, that was off limits before. So anyway, we can celebrate a little bit, right?
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
I just wanted to pull him up because, let's talk about Durham.
Okay.
Shall we? Okay, Moxie, kick us off with Durham, would you?
So I'm going to give a little background knowledge so that people know what's going on and kind of set the stage for what we're about to talk about.
Great.
So John Durham testified in front of Congress on Thursday. Or no, I'm sorry. That is wrong. He testified on Wednesday. Okay.
Yep, Wednesday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. I just realized that I typed Thursday in there. So in 2017, in October, John Durham was appointed special counsel over the investigation into the Trump-Russia probe. Last year, Durham indicted 2 low-level operatives within the D.C. swamp, Sussman and Danchenko. Both trials came to a close without convictions, but the information revealed in the trials went on the record. And it is problematic for the Clinton campaign. It was revealed that Hillary Clinton paid for the Steele dossier that was used to get the FISA warrants to spy on Trump's campaign, and also showed that 3-letter agencies were involved in all of this. Durham released his 300-plus page report laying out all of his findings on May 15th, 2023, so just over a month ago. And he did not recommend charges, as the agencies that would be responsible to hold the perpetrators to account, they're involved and corrupt. New rules are not needed, he says, but adherence to old rules needs to happen. John Durham was invited to testify under oath in front of Congress. His testimony was cut short to vote to censure Adam Schiff for his actions pushing the Russian hoax. The House voted to censure him, and the matter is being referred to the Ethics Committee and I think one other committee, which is the way that the American people are going to learn how we can take care of problematic people in Congress. This is how we can do it, is by having people vote to censure. And the most important thing that I think that John Durham said on Wednesday is in the clip that I'm going to share in just a second here. It's a very short clip, but I just think it's super interesting that he said this.
I don't think that things can go too much further with the view that law enforcement, particularly the FBI, the Department of Justice, runs a 2-tiered system of justice. The nation can't stand under those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
I don't think that.
No, stop. Okay. And with that, I want to kick it over to Carrie and see what she has.
Well, he just said what we all know, right? So I'd like to start off with another part of his testimony as well. It's Media 3A, Nevs.
My mic was off. Is there any context you need to set for this, or is
It's
it
just
good?
more, it's a different part of his testimony, and
Okay.
then I'll have a perspective on it.
Sounds good.
Who commissioned the Steele dossier?
The Steele dossier was done by Fusion GPS, who was hired by Perkins Coie, who represented the Clinton campaign. And
So what role did the Clinton campaign play in this hoax?
What, I'm sorry, did they play?
What role did the Clinton campaign play in this hoax?
The Clinton campaign funded the work, the opposition research that was done by Fusion GPS, and GPS paid Mr. Steele for the dossier.
And who in the Clinton campaign approved that relationship?
We lay some of that out in the report. I think it was Mr. Elias, who was general counsel to the campaign, who engaged the services of Fusion GPS.
Mr. Jordan referenced the Clinton plan intelligence. Exactly what was the Clinton plan?
Based on declassified documents in the public record, there was intelligence information that was received at virtually the same time that the information came from the Australians. I mean, within a day or two. That intelligence included information that there was a purported plan designed by one of Mrs. Clinton's foreign policy advisors to create a scandal tying Donald Trump to the Russians. That's the essence of the intelligence as contained in the declassified information.
So they knew, they knew. And obviously the political bias of the FBI and DOJ leadership dictated how they viewed the evidence and how they submitted it to the FISA court, right? They lied and withheld evidence from the court to unlawfully obtain a warrant to surveil Trump. And I'm glad that Mark Elias and all these other cast of characters are coming out, Fusion GPS. But, okay, so again, Kash Patel, I love to refer to him because he's just so adept in this area. And I agree that Durham missed the mark. Like, he has a lot of respect for Durham. We all do. But this one, it just seemed like, okay. And the reason he said that, let me just go into it, is that he didn't have any of those usual suspects. He didn't have them he didn't compel their testimonies. Sussman, Danchenko, Klein-Smith, who already had pled guilty. I mean, there could have been like Comey, McCabe, Lisa Page, Bruce and Nellie Ora, if you remember them. There was no compelling testimonies. Did you notice that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There might be a reason for that, but.
Well, Durham said it's complicated. That was his answer when.
Well.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting response, don't you think?
Well, and that's exactly, I had a little note to myself. That is interesting. So, can you tell us more about that? But of course not. I mean, and I think so he did mention that if they didn't do it under the, taking the fifth, that a subpoena doesn't give a federal prosecutor authority to force a testimony, something like that. But I think it's also complicated in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And that we'll find out down the road. But
that's what I was going to say, because he was so vague there.
Yeah.
The it's complicated to me tells me there's more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
For sure.
And do you notice he wasn't pushed on what do you mean by it's complicated? Be specific.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot going on with that hearing that was kind of interesting.
I agree. But The good news is many Americans are hearing this for the first time. Okay. We have heard it. We know it, but a lot of Americans never tuned in.
It's, yep.
So that's big. And anyway, that's kind of, I mean, obviously it's a two-tier justice system. They're seeing it. These two tiers are running on parallel tracks, right? It's these deep state, all the politicians, these people, they have a different set of rules, right? And I think a lot of Americans weren't ever really paying attention. They may have noticed in the periphery, but it's front and center right now. So,
yeah. I do. I have some notes on this. So many notes because sorry, I'm just reading through some of my notes, but kind of related to that vague response of it's complicated. Also, there were reports of and I need to make my screen bigger. 1 second. I wish I would keep it that way when I do this. There were reports of, the Republicans and Democrats were going after him. Why didn't the Republicans try to pull out more information instead of getting on his case about what he didn't do? And there's a few different things there. Number one, there may still be other investigations going on that we're not aware of. I have no idea if there are any sealed indictments at all. Do you think we would have heard that there are? I don't know.
Not with Durham. He
around this topic. Was Durham the only investigator investigating this stuff?
No.
So if there's a huge, this is just in my head, so I'm not pulling this from anywhere, but if there's a huge coup attempt, which is what I consider if you're spying on a campaign and you're trying to prevent somebody from becoming president, it's it's not a coup because he's not president yet, but it's the same thing, right? If you're committing, that's treason.
Absolutely.
So who else would be, besides the Justice Department investigating the spying and some of the smaller stuff, who would be investigating the biggest stuff?
Right. Or did a lot of these people that I mentioned, were there deals made? I mean, right?
Well, that's the other thing. So some people even think that, with Hunter Biden, that he potentially could be an informant. Who goes and brings their laptop and with all this kind of information and just leaves it and doesn't go pick it up, especially even after the guy tried to tell him, hey, your laptop's here.
Yep.
He still didn't pick it up.
I agree with you. I think that he's working with our side. I think that
and I think it's a theory out there with some anons.
Yeah.
And I think it's a worthy question to ask. Even though he's done some horrible things, is this plea deal really for real? Or is it a cover for
the big stuff?
Performance?
Really big stuff. The huge stuff. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm of a mind, to agree with that. And
well,
I mean, we know that Hunter they had a very strained relationship because the other son, Bo, was the favorite. And let's face it, I mean, Hunter was Biden's bag man, all over the world, just doing his dirty work.
Right.
And
go ahead, finish.
Go ahead. No, it's all right.
No, you go ahead, finish.
I'm just saying, I don't think the relationship was really that good.
No.
The man was deeply troubled with his drugs and everything that he was involved in.
And there's text messages of him complaining that he's paying for everything.
Yeah. So
for the family.
Yeah.
like the bills and stuff like that. And like half of his money goes to paying for his dad's stuff.
Yeah, and the fact that all of the laundering of money went to, I think, 8 or 9 other family members, including grandchildren. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So it could be. It's a great theory.
mhm.
It'll be interesting to see. Would we ever know, though? Honestly, would we ever know? I don't know, but it's really strange. Like the whole situation is so strange
Yeah.
that he would even have his laptop exposed or even have the things on it that he had, right? So, and could some of that like horrible material with him doing drugs and sexual stuff, like leave that on there because that would actually get people's attention because the other stuff is very complicated that's on there, which is the important stuff, the
Yeah.
business dealings, the all of that proof. Who saves their text messages on a laptop? I don't have my text messages
To
on my
incriminate their father. I don't know. I mean, I think that we're seeing a little bit where, the veil is open a little bit. We're seeing like a surface level, a little bit deeper, but all the complaints, that, it's not enough and all that. There has to be something else going on.
right. There has to be. It just doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
I've heard people question why would you have emails on your laptop, but I'm like, all my emails, I don't take screenshots of them. I don't know how his emails were on there, but I've got Outlook, so you can pretty much see all my emails. But yeah, it's curious. I just question that whole thing because it's very unreal that the Justice Department or any attorney would give what you called I forget what's called again, but that the gun charge
Trial diversion agreement.
diversion. Why can't I remember that? But yeah, like why would they do that? Why would they give him a slap on the wrist and misdemeanors? Why would they not charge him with
either a 2-tier system that is in play?
No, I'm just wondering. Yeah,
or there's something else. And that the American people collectively need to see what we're being shown.
Right.
Before it can all be dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
Which I absolutely 100% confident it will be.
Yeah.
So
I think so too. But back to John Durham.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal even had a report about, he's the last honest man. Rather than dig into the evidence John Durham uncovered, partisans on both sides were more interested in bashing him.
Oh.
But honestly, I don't think that was I don't know. I think that was intentional. I really believe the Republicans have a strategy, and I think they had a certain message they wanted to get out there, or a certain like thing that they wanted the media to say about the whole hearing, because they already know everything, and maybe they don't want us to know everything just yet, or maybe they don't want us. Maybe it wasn't for that exposure because the report itself is public. Everybody can go read it.
Greenhouse. It's a controlled demolition. It's only what needs. I mean, I really think it's by design.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, at this point, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
No.
Because if they're going to let this much out, then why not just bring it all?
Exactly.
But I don't think the time is now for that.
Right. I just want to share a tweet from General Flynn.
Okay.
So he said this is possibly the largest cover-up in U.S. history, given what we know now is hard evidence. For Durham to say that going after the real culprits criminally would have been tough. It doesn't even appear that Durham tried. So this also is a hint to me. And Michael Flynn is very close to Trump. Trump actually said Durham did a great job. And so Flynn is very close to Trump, and Trump already said, get ready, Flynn. So, Flynn will be working with Trump. So this tweet here just makes me think, okay, they want some kind of optic that isn't about embracing Durham, and there's got to be a reason. But they're not bashing him necessarily, except for Matt Gaetz did a little bit. but they're not. Not. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it could also be on purpose. So, that the deep state, let's say, if everybody's bashing him, then do you know what I mean? It's like if their own guys are bashing him, then that. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say.
I do. I do know what you're trying to say. And there's got to be a reason for it, because
exactly.
They're so strategic, and we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
We just try to piece it together.
Exactly. I want to share one unrelated thing because it's a part of this, the response here. I posted this earlier, but this guy says, "Sure, traitor."
Yeah.
And Flint says, "Up yours."
I saw that.
I'm sorry, I had to share it, but we're going way over our hour. But I want to share a couple more things, because the other thing that was a distraction, which wasn't as big of a distraction, but I think it still was the whole Russia and Wagner thing going on there. The supposed attempted coup. I totally think that was definitely to throw off Ukraine and the United States. But here I have a take on it that I don't think I've heard anybody have. So other people have had a take about the CIA, and I did too. Like I posted about, hey, did the CIA fund this? But I have an additional on top of that take. So here's what I'm thinking, because for anybody watching, if you haven't done research or don't realize based off of information that's already come out, the CIA has instigated all those previous color revolutions, the change of the guard in Ukraine in 2014, all of that. And so obviously CIA comes to our mind right away when we see something like this. And so what I was thinking is the CIA approached someone in Russia to give this idea. And instead of saying you're nuts or going along with it, they fake went along with it, and then went to Putin to say, hey, you're not going to believe this. The CIA is coming after us, and then they came up with a plan to have it go forward and then back off at the last minute so they could get more information on what the CIA was trying to do, how they approach people, what's going on there. So I do think it's a big fake out. I do think that, and one of the things that I think it was Putin in his speech yesterday said that something about outsiders
and blackmail.
Yeah. Yes, actually, you mind if I play that clip real quick?
Oh, not at all.
I know we're late, but I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play part of it.
This civil solidarity shows that any kind of blackmail is doomed to failure. I repeat, there has been a tremendous coming together of society, a unification of society. And there has been a firm support of the constitutional order by all the leading parties. Virtually the entire.
I don't need to continue. It's a really good video though. And the thing of it is Putin is super popular. Somebody was posting bio clandestine. was posting during this whole thing that he knew immediately that it was likely a psyop or an info op.
Yeah, he has great instincts about everything Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, he does. If y'all are on Telegram, I think he's clandestine, but on Twitter, he's just clandestine. So for anybody not
without war clandestine. Ooh, sorry, I don't know. But I have something interesting that I'm going to hat tip. Moxie, do you mind if I jump in since we're talking about clandestine? The history of Yevgeny Prigozhin of the Wagner Group, right? The private military. So that supposedly was, conducting a coup. They're fully funded by the Russian government.
Yeah.
And he, the leader, is close with Putin.
Yeah, a loyalist.
He has a long history with Putin. And
yes,
check this out. A big part of that history is conducting disinformation ops.
Oh, that part I didn't know.
And he's worth over $1 billion and owns his own movie production company.
So he can't be bought. He can't be bought.
That makes blockbuster war movies.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, and they were marching into Moscow and past
Yeah. And
there's no way. There is no way. And Putin is not pressing charges, sent him off to Belarus to his best friend in Belarus.
Right.
And honestly, Putin is a tough dude. Like if that was for real, he would have been like,
oh, no.
Let's publicly show on television his execution.
I mean, he had a little thing like, oh, what we're seeing is treason, but no civilians have been hurt. There's been no bloodshed. He did a little bit of that. But I mean, this was all planned, and he's done it before with the disinformation psyops in Ukraine and Bakhmut.
Oh, did he? Tell me about it.
This guy, well, and I mean, he's done it all over. I mean, he made it appear that they were weak to bait Ukraine to attack. And this is
wait. Appear weak when you're strong.
Exactly. Right? Sun Tzu. I think it's Sun Tzu, or maybe it's Marcus Aurelius.
Sun Tzu.
It's Sun Tzu. Okay. And so Ukraine took the bait. It was in Artyomivsk, and they lost the battle they had. And so, but this is really, so he does that, psyops. That's what he does. And our media took it. They took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. They were celebrating. It was crazy, but when
they backed off pretty quick on supporting him.
Well, it was like, what, 24 hours? It's like a few moments later,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you did that good. You did that good.
So what did Putin lose? Nothing. No civil war. No.
He gained information. Yes.
Because
and honestly,
galvanized around him. And what did he gain?
He gained a lot.
He suggested that this is, again, bioclandestine, that it allowed for the disguise of movement of mass quantities of his troops.
Yep, there were probably a few reasons why they did that, and one is probably that. The other thing they gained is information on some of the playbook the CIA uses, and where their money's coming from.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. And traders, those who would sign on with Prigozhin.
Right? Yes, but Putin today had a big awards ceremony or something for them, and gave them the ones that were like, no, dude, I'm not going to be a part of it.
He was, that was, wow.
You got to weed people out. Look at all the benefits. And the Belarus, the leader of Belarus there was an interview out today. I think I reposted it on Telegram. I haven't posted on Truth and Twitter much today. I've been working, but on Telegram, he the I think it was BBC was saying to him, and this is Belarus and Putin are like the same, and they're saying to him, you know, you're taking away all the NGOs' money and complaining about how it's unfair how they're treating NGOs, and the Belarus leader just interrupted him and said, "Damn straight we are." You know, I mean, that's not really the words, but it was so cool because he was so like he went off on the reporter and said, "You're the one funding them and all of this." And anyway, so it's like we need more leaders to push back at like defund NGOs and push back at journalists and call them out.
Yeah, because that was all related to COVID too, with the biolabs, right? With
what was related to that?
Rosemont Seneca, the NGOs, because money.
NGOs are into everything, don't you know?
Like our government, the bad players can funnel money through the NGO to their destination, and they couldn't do it directly because it's illegal.
It's more they fund more than just like biolabs or COVID.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, so
it's everything. They fund Antifa. You know, it's crazy. They fund color
shut those
revolution.
NGOs down.
They need to be shut down. They literally. It's
Moxie, jump in here, Moxie.
Wait, I'm gonna show a GIF that Moxie shared.
I also have that one queued up.
Oh, I'm just gonna.
So I want a hat tip, or Vuja Day, for that, for sending that to me. He sent that to me, and it completely explains what just happened in Russia. I remember on Friday night when I first started seeing the stuff pop up with Russia and all of that, and I immediately went hands off. I was like, this smells really weird. Like something isn't right here. Mm-hmm. And then I realized.
Well, I'm going to admit I fell for it right away. I thought not until Putin spoke, though. So when Putin did his speech, I'm like, oh, okay, this is for real.
Yeah. So I have a little channel that I don't really promote because there's not a lot on there. I started it for friends. It's just stuff that I find interesting and I send it over there. But I don't usually post original content, but I did post that night that I don't know what's going on in Russia, but I'm going to wait until after I see what Putin says. Because it had just been announced that he was going to speak shortly.
Right.
And then I went to bed and I didn't watch Putin and I waited till morning. And then when I was thinking about it, I'm like, the media doesn't say anything about Russia unless it looks bad for Russia.
Right, exactly.
So I have this real quick. All of these little things, this is a hat tip, clandestine on Telegram. But they're all saying that it made Putin look weak, Putin was weakened, Putin's in trouble, all of that stuff. And
he's going to be ousted in a few months. I read that headline today.
Yep. Like, it was insane, all of the headlines that were coming up. And I was just like, something doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
And then I got to that, I was going to show that clip that you just showed already to close it up, but it just...
I've got another meme for you.
Like, within a minute or two, or not a minute, an hour or two of me being out of bed and, like, getting my feet under me and coffee in my system, it was all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not only that, I do want to keep talking about this for just a minute, because what I find super interesting is that right away, when it was discovered that they were backing out, what does President, I can't call him president. My mouth won't do it. Resident Biden. So on Friday, I think it was Friday, I don't know, for the weekend, they had all this film of him and Hunter going off on the helicopter to go to Camp David. Right? So he's usually not working on the weekends. But on Sunday, there's a press release that Biden has a call with Zelensky on Sunday. And then that same day, who else did he talk to? Justin Trudeau. Why would he need to talk to Justin Trudeau? And it seemed like, you know, and he doesn't work on the weekends, right? I mean, we know that.
Right.
He's usually in Delaware.
Yeah, what's up with Trudeau?
Well, I think a lot's up with him.
Well,
yeah. I mean, like Klaus Schwab owns him.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, he's
like dictator.
100% captured.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's 100% tyrannical. So I just found that interesting. And it made me feel like they were panicking because I don't think that was the outcome they were expecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let me play this other meme quick because I love a good laugh.
Did you mention that money had gone missing because?
Yeah. So yeah, there was they miscalculated or they gave too much money to Ukraine accidentally or
yeah.
It
was a miscalculation.
Oops.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that interesting. I've got a million other things, but I know we're short on time.
Just by the way, there is an ex-CIA analyst. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I think it's a female that believes the whole thing was staged. So that is coming out.
That is. And Maria. So I love Maria. You know, she's on Fox Business and she's very based and she's great. Like she's so knowledgeable and brilliant. And she called the Russian thing a distraction. She called it.
We're covering it, rightfully so. Does it break through and become a real problem?
The White House wanted to give the media something else to cover. And this is the MO. This is exactly the way they do things. In fact, on Friday, I said, wow, what a blockbuster WhatsApp message. I'm sure there will be an enormous story over the weekend that the White House is going to be pushing to take this story off of the front page. And sure enough, we've got the State Department drumming up all the drama that took place over the weekend in Russia. So I don't know if it's going to break through. The mainstream media has an excuse again not to cover it. They're covering everything about Russia and the Wagner Group.
Yeah, it's true.
As if it really.
She called it.
Yep. She's good.
She is. She's so good. All right. Well, does anybody have? Well, yeah. No. I have so many things I want to talk about, but I'm not going.
I know.
I'm not going. Well, you know what's cracking me up is that everything they're putting against Trump is kind of coming back at them. And so that's more news that came out that the mainstream media is twisting. CNN came out with we have exclusive audio because obviously the DOJ leaked only to CNN. We have exclusive audio of Trump, saying he had classified papers, but it's coming back as a boomerang because it was he was laughing about how Milley was trying to get Trump to be a warmonger, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he said he picked up magazines or whatever and shook them and and people were laughing. They were making fun of Milley. And so I thought that was, that was another thing that the media is twisting, or they're trying to be like, it's damning evidence. And you know that DOJ, FBI, CIA, whatever, whoever's doing whatever is always selectively leaking things and leaking them out of context. And of course, they're so stupid because Trump's going to respond right away. He doesn't walk away with his tail between his legs. So
And that's
anyway,
the biggest difference between John Durham and this Jack Smith that's doing this investigation in Trump.
there were no leaks.
No leaks from Durham. And
None.
Jack Smith, we're getting all of these stupid leaks.
Selective leaks. Yep. And the other thing, well, I'm not even gonna, there's so much news. Maybe we need a Saturday morning conspiracies just to laugh at some of the other stuff that's been going on.
I'm game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about our closing thoughts. Moxie, do you have any closing thoughts?
The last couple weeks has been insane.
Not even the last couple weeks, just the last week.
Yeah. It is just the last week, but it feels like it's like 2 or 3 weeks all packed into one worth of news. And today the news cycle was a little bit slower, and it's really good because I can't keep up.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's an important thing, Moxie. Like, we should tell everybody that they should take a break now and then. And
Absolutely.
I actually should listen to myself on that.
Yeah.
Take a break off of all social media, go out, enjoy the day, you know.
Well, it'd be nice if we didn't have this, bad air alert out here.
You have it again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Still. And I think you still do too.
Oh, probably. It rained yesterday, though, so I was happy.
I think it's bad here too. But
yeah, I think it is everywhere. So, yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts, Gary?
Well, I'll just say it again that I believe that everything we're saying now is really meant for the people that have been brainwashed by MSM.
I agree. And not even just them. Some of it's messages to the swamp.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah. So, if we understand that, we know why it can't be scorched earth yet. Just kind of just still drawing them in. And so, really Trump couldn't come in and lay waste to the deep state. I mean, he had all the evidence against them. And he couldn't do that in his first term because the sleeping masses needed to experience what we've all gone through. And it has to be experienced before real change can happen. And we had to go through what we're going through with Biden. And,
absolutely.
This completely disastrous term, not even over, but totalitarian state that has become America, right?
Absolutely.
And, whether it's all the billions that we sent to Ukraine with our infrastructure crumbling and, the corporate fascism, the list goes on and on, everything. It's this dystopian, totalitarian, that was in the books, 1984 and Brave New World. But anyway, and the two-tiered justice system, full display. And I think that it's really just prepping people to be ready to support Trump's second term. He has all the ammunition to take down individuals and remake the agencies. I don't know if they're going to last. If the FBI, I don't think that's not in the Constitution. But it needs to be cleaned out and law and order needs to be restored. And so I think that he needed the people with him. And so, I hope I didn't sound like I was bagging on Durham because I think he did what he was supposed to do and revealed what he was supposed to reveal. I totally trust what's happening.
Right. And it's understandable that some people might be upset, and they're not seeing, like, we don't know everything that's happening behind the scenes.
And maybe the time now isn't for the big bombs. There's a lot of big stuff coming out, though. We really shouldn't underestimate it, right?
There are
huge.
And not only that, what did Durham accomplish? I know it was a long investigation. And, people complain, oh, he just did these minor indictments and, they didn't get convicted. But honestly, what came out of those, all the information that came out,
It's massive.
Like that was probably the actual purpose of, because Durham is this amazing attorney that never loses cases. He went after the mob, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
So, that reminds me. And I do think someone on Badlands Media, so they have so many good podcasts, but someone on Badlands Media talked about, and I've heard this, throughout the last couple of years, how Trump was an informant during all of the arrests for taking down the mob back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Back when Giuliani was helping clean up.
Wow.
Trump was helping. Giuliani was helping. And there were other people that are involved today that were also a part of it that you'd be surprised.
Well, Giuliani was the prosecutor.
Who?
Giuliani.
Yeah, I said Giuliani was.
Oh, I thought you said he was helping, but I mean, he was like the guy.
Yeah. So, but Trump allowed, he was an informant. He has the big, I don't know if it's Trump Tower or casino or whatever in Atlantic City, and of course a ton of real estate in New York City. But he worked with the intelligence agencies and gave them information.
Wow.
And allowed
is saying in chat that it was when Trump was involved in casinos.
Yep. So yeah, he helped root out corruption even back then. So yeah, I really want to know. And I do think there's a few months ago, I do think Kyle Just Human actually brought that up in one of his podcasts and went into detail in that. But I found that really interesting since you brought it up. Anyway, I interrupted your closing thoughts. Continue.
No, I think I was finished.
Oh, are you finished?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the moral of the story today, late girls and boys, and there are only two genders. The moral of the story is MSM gives you part of the story, and usually with their slant. And there are other sources where you can find information. Twitter is now not censoring. Truth Social doesn't censor.
Twitter is worldwide.
And it's Twitter's worldwide, and you can access the hearings on C-SPAN, watch all of those. You can go to DOJ and read all that stuff's kind of hard to do if, reading some of those legal docs, but man, there's info in there.
Yeah.
Like the Durham report is 300 pages long. I wanted to cover some of it, but it's just, we're out of time. So my closing thought actually is, I want to share Pepe Lives Matter just did a Substack, and I'm like, he blows me away. He is so encouraging.
Yes,
so I want to share his Substack. It's the price of faith and the joy of perseverance. And let's see, it's kind of short. No, it might. I don't know. I'll start. I think I will read through some of it. I think it's encouraging. I think it's an important thing to remember during all this chaos. It kind of reminds you of what's really important. And but when you walk through acts of faith, something happens to you that you can't explain. That frustration, that discomfort of not knowing if you are doing the right thing or not, that changes you. God is meeting you at the edge of your limits and pushing you beyond them. I know a lot of people are frustrated right now, so that really is like a really awesome statement. And then he says, and what occurs in that process? Your name has changed, your nature, who you are down to the core transformed. You're no longer the same person you once were. Anons have been walking on a path that is mentally taxing as any I've seen for a group of people. This has been over these last 5 years or longer, 8 years. On the surface, it's hard to tell if we will win, but we have a choice to make. And many have been choosing to believe that we will not lose, but we will win. Something struck me as I planted seeds on my lawn the other day. Hypothetically, if you have never planted seeds before and you knew nothing about gardening, would that period of time waiting and watering be one of certainty? What a great analogy, huh? What a great analogy. He says, of course not. If weeks go by without a single sign of a sprout growing, you'll begin to question whether you are wasting away your time. What I'm trying to say is this: that fog is a burden when you are pioneering a way forward for the next generation. Not knowing is a part of the cross that changes who you are. Anons have been pushing forward through this uncertain precipice. We are watering seeds and planting them for awakening in others. It is uncertain if everything we are doing is all for naught, but one day the labor of love begins to bloom. Your faith is justified as that seed breaks through the dirt. Sometimes faith requires a leap from whence you cannot return. That is where we have been. But one day your cup of joy will be filled when you see the fruit of your labors, when you witness what God has in mind for your life. These lessons pertain to anything you have believed in from God, whether it's about your career, your family, your health. We are all believing God for something. And sometimes those promises linger on day after day, and we feel faint in our certainty. My encouragement to you is to keep watering, keep believing, and never give up hope. One day you will have a garden rivaling Eden, whether here on earth or in heaven. Your faith piles up treasures worth being proud of, and God is with you in the waiting. That waiting is transforming your very DNA. Don't skip that journey for anything in the world. Water your faith and walk through this one step at a time. I know it was a little long, but gosh, was that a good message?
Oh, it was beautiful.
So thank you, Pepe.
Yes, Pepe. We love you, Pepe.
So he is our scribe, the scribe of our times.
Mm-hmm.
His encouraging writings are amazing. And I don't even probably need to tell anybody to follow him because they probably already are.
But he's right. I mean, God, this is the plan for our lives right now that God has. This is the plan. We're in it.
Yeah.
We know that the future has, Jeremiah 29:11, the plans that I have for you, for not for evil, but for good and to prosper you and for hope.
Yep.
So,
well, I will give his info just in case people haven't heard. So it's Pepe Lives Matter at Substack or .substack.com. He's Pepe Lives Matter on Telegram and Truth Social, but on Twitter.
Sorry, go ahead.
On Twitter, he is UltraFrog17 is the username, but his display name says Green Lives Matter, and he has a blue check mark. So, actually, I'll share it so you will recognize it if you go to him. But I like to give people credit. So this is him.
You will be blessed by his encouraging words. I mean, he does deep dives into some dark stuff too that is happening. I mean, he's a great digger, great researcher. And his encouraging words are just so beautiful.
Yeah, so that's my closing thought. This was a great show. We didn't have enough time. Like, we should have had like parts 1, 2, and 3, but like this is stuff happening now. So
thanks for everyone, hanging in there with us.
Yeah. And please, if you liked the show and you enjoyed it, please tell your friends about it. Give us a like on the video and subscribe. That helps other people see it more. We really appreciate everybody that came, and there's a lot of good chat in Rumble chat tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, friends, and thank you, ladies.
Thank you. And see you next time. No. Wait, before we go, next Tuesday is July 4th. So we are going to skip a week. So Just want to let everybody know that it's a holiday and we're not available that day. So enjoy your 4th of July, everybody. See ya.
Good night.
Night.
I can see clear